Welcome back. My name is Peter Pilgrim. I'm a Java champion, developer, technical lead, principal engineer, and I want to talk to you on the 18th of May 2023 about platforms like Hired, OTTA, and Cord, and these are kind of the platforms that are supposedly will get you a gig. I had been looking for work for about 3 months. Thankfully, I found something in the traditional way with a recruiter, a human person. However, during my journey, I looked and followed a recommendation of a networking colleague who suggested look at Hired, OTTA, and Cord. And I looked at Hired. And so Hired is a platform where your profile is promoted. You write your profile like a CV, and then interested companies will request interviews and you choose the ones that you like. So it is, the balance with Hired is on, and the power lies with the hiring clients, the companies, hence the name Hired. But you on the other side get to look and choose which company you are hired for or chosen for. So immediately you are told to fill it in, and I'm going to blank some of this out, or blur some of this stuff, personal stuff out. And you can say, for example, take an assessment, your email address, and you can choose industries that you don't want to compete in. So gaming and betting and gambling, I didn't want to do. So, and then you can say how much experience. Then you fill in stuff like your CV and hope for the best, really. And then once you fill in your profile, companies will come in and contact you. With Hired, it's not easy to find actual companies. They come to you unless I am misunderstanding something about the platform. But if you want to, and if you are a new graduate and you've got 1 or 2 years or even less than a year's experience in the industry, it might help you to take an assessment, a programming skill. So if you want to get into machine learning or data science, then prove that you know Python. So, but essentially, I'm very, very suspicious of this kind of thing where it reminds me of free machine learning, where inexperienced engineers and people are building a artificial intelligence behind the scene that they can then offer to Hired. So I know that's a very cynical view of the Hired platform. But anyway, let's move on to my interviews. So I was immediately attached to see the conversations with Scala, an engineer. I found that although I applied over a month ago, and I will blur out the person's name, and the person did call me and said they were trying to arrange an interview for me, as you can see here, but then it disappeared. I didn't hear anything back, and let me remind you, this is the 18th of May 2023. I didn't hear a thing back, and I applied over a month ago, and it may be that the whole market in the UK has just plunged. So let me say, hired is great for permanent work. There's no such thing for contract. So you won't find contracting gigs on hired. Let's go back to the interviews. For example, I applied also to City, also at the same commensurate salary. A month ago, specified my interview availability and didn't hear anything back. So I found hired a frustrating experience. It seemed really good at the very beginning, but okay, oh boy, you can't see what roles are out there for you. You can fill in your calendar if you want to, which is nice, so that people can contact you. But we're in a dead market. Let me remind you, this is May 2023, in the middle of it, and Permanent and Vodafone has laid off how many people? 11,000 people. I think BT in the UK will lay off people in up to the end of 2030, which is 7 years away. Okay, it's all right for new graduates, and if you are lucky to find someone through hired and get hired through them, then good for you. Let's move on to the next platform, OTTA. So OTTA, I had a little bit more success with. I applied for jobs. The immediate thing is that you fill in your profile again, I should say. You've got your work experience, your technologies used, your education, and then you get all these tick marks. So I filled it in, added my key skills here, and then you get then matched to skills and the salary that you kind of are hoping for. And if you want to be on site, or you want to be hybrid or remote, your level. And OTTA does have some nice features. At least you can see the opportunities, like Gigster. This one particularly looking nice. It was lead senior design engineer, lead architect, and with some of these you actually do see the salary. So here, for example, Lunio, 115 to 120k. The sad part of, I would say, this platform is that the inbox is dead, and it may be in a buoyant market, it actually does work. But when the economy is stagnating, at least my skill set, there is no information. If I go back to jobs and point out why, although you have good information about the product board, the architect, you've got OTTA's take, you've got a trust pilot here, you've got really good information whether you want to apply, about the founders. This doesn't help when the market has tanked, unfortunately. For example, this example shows you there's like 34 female employees, 52% employee growth. If you're going to do that, that's important, I guess, for females and high, and that's really useful. But as perhaps they can increase the stats here, how many black British people, but then you would be able to then really examine stats for how many people of color are in leadership positions. So It's interesting. I do like the UI interface for OTTA. And you get some really nice features here. But again, some candidates hear back within 2 weeks. So it's a troubling take on the actual system. It's not, if you're looking for fast hiring or solutions, from both sides, whether you're a candidate or a client, it's not going to happen on this platform. And I reserve judgment should ever the economy become buoyant. Suddenly we have this buoyant market like we did in 2005, 2006 was the last time I remember a market that is so hot that you could literally walk into a job. Anyhow, what else is there with so for example, my final point here, I applied to Vio and had a look at my application. It seemed really good, but then I haven't heard anything back, and my application was sent on the 26th of April 2023, and today's date is the 18th of May 2023, and it shows you how difficult the either market conditions are or how internal recruiters or talent acquisition. So that's the other important thing before I jump into Cord, is that the final platform, a lot of this is internal recruiters or talent acquisition teams within the companies, and you can, and I'm putting 2 and 2 and making 4.5. If the talent resourcing teams are actually being squeezed as well, then by definition it's going to make it hard for these external platforms, Cord, OTTA and Hired, even to work. If the hireware is shown the door and his security card or their security card taken, then it's harder to be hired in the first place for everybody. Cord is the last platform, and again you have your profile, which I've filled in, added my experience at various institutions as a contractor. I've got a lovely picture here, so when I go back to the home, positions that might be matching me. There's European positions, nice looking tables. There's what's wrong with this picture. You get a person of color here, but it's all very youthful. It's very youthful, like under the age of 40. There's not a gray hair anywhere, which is troubling. Yes, I can see, as I said before, if you are youthful or inexperienced or both, and you've just had 1 or 2 years from university or college, this appeals to you. Let's see, you've got a nice chart here for back-end developers, which is probably taken from Indeed or Stack Overflow or GitHub or Engineers, one of these surveys here. And again, this was what I was looking at as being accurate as a fair salary for 2023. Bear in mind, we do have cost of living crisis and 10% increase on food prices, and sometimes up to 20% on heating, gas and electricity. I found this platform to be disappointing as well. I did apply to Canis, for example. However, the salary that I was looking for, they couldn't match it, so I found that a little disappointing. Yeah, when you go to the job page, that they don't advertise the actual salary, and I'll show you that in a second. What I found was really interested. I did apply. Someone from an IMG arena, a talent partner, did reach out for me with a nice salary, £105,000, Joe. And the tech is good, except I don't do gambling, betting, or gaming, and for ethical reasons. And so I knocked that back. So it shows that it does work out for certain people who, everybody, each to their own ethical choices at the end of the day. So it shows you that it does sort of work, and perhaps you can get a gig using Cord. For example, with Kanos, and I'm being really smart and transparent here, the base salary was not disclosed. So, the response was good, 2 days, and the working time zone, 4 days will work. And because of that, you applied, and this is no problem with Kanos. It's just that if you don't, with this, it's a limitation with the client. You've got to advertise what the salary band is. Otherwise, people will know straight from the get-go. And it's not going to work if you have all the nice skills here that you're offering, and then we don't see eye to eye on the salary. And then we have to message. So if I was on the other side, I would advertise the salary that one could achieve, or one expected to achieve here. And that's that. I think with all of these platforms, Cord, OTTA, and Hired, it looks, OTTA would be brilliant because it really has this nice UI, which is really good, and it has a lot of information, a lot of reviews of the actual companies. It's just that with OTTA, it just, your inbox is practically zero. And it may be, and I don't understand what's happening on the recruiter side of this equation. From the candidate side, it's all right. But from the recruiter side, wow, there's no, I don't know what's going on. Cord looks a little bit better. It has nice pictures, and you get, for example, if you want to go and look at the builder.ai, you get information. The person who is on the other side was active and looking at this, the core.co, about 22 minutes ago. So in theory, this should be a faster platform to look at and to engage. So if you wanted to be a technical architect at this company, one would perhaps look at builder.ai. And I did have conversations with certain people. So the ones that I would choose, probably the best is cord.co, because at least you've got conversations going on here, and that's pretty impressive. But for me, finally, what I would say about all three of these platforms are for any more, nothing beats the traditional humane touch of a professional recruiter who's going to engage with you, talk to you, and deal with any specific requests. I can see why small businesses may want to use a platform like this, because I don't know the actual metrics on the demographics of people who are using platforms like this, or perhaps on the phone. I'm using a MacBook Pro, have no clue as to how these things work on a phone. You probably need a 10-inch tablet to get some better benefit. Might be a lot harder to look on the phone. You probably use 2 devices. With that said, all that remains now is to delete my profile from all 3 of these platforms: Cord, Otto, and Hired,